Hello everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look, or at least we're trying to have a look at my most beautiful decks, the most beautiful decks in my collection. And it is an incredibly difficult task because I do have about 600 decks, and let's just say that I have 600 decks in total. However, I don't have 600 tarot decks. So what I'm going to do in order to make my life slightly easier is I'm going to focus just on tarot decks. And let's just define a couple of things first. So first of all, yes, it is an incredibly difficult choice for me because I don't generally keep decks that I don't find beautiful. And by beautiful, I mean that they make me feel something positive, whether it's because they're scarily accurate in their readings, or because the art style is amazing, or because the messages are resonating with me, or because the vibes are really powerful. There's a number of things why I would say of a deck, yeah, this is a beautiful deck. But today I'm going to try and narrow it down to my top 10 most beautiful decks, the 10 most beautiful decks in my entire collection. And so to make it easier, I'm just going to focus on tarot. So no oracle decks, no Lenormand, Keeper, playing cards, you name it. Just tarot decks that they need to, when I look at them, I need to feel, yes, this is one of the 10. And I imagine that there'll be a bit of a couple of rounds. So I'm going to go through all of them. So I got 2 shelves like this one and 2 full trolleys. So there's a lot. And I'm going to have a look at them one by one. It's probably going to take me a couple of days. And I'm not going to show you all of the process because we don't have 24 hours to look at the video. No one does. But wish me luck because I have no idea if I'm going to be able to do it. I did watch a video by Simon at the Hermit's Cave and others, so I actually googled it, for every single tarot tuber who has found the courage to do a choice, to make a choice like that. And I have to say Simon inspired me because, well, his video is one of the latest ones with this topic, but also because I've been following Simon for so many years. And I know that he has a very extensive collection, and I know that he has more decks than I do. And so I thought to myself, come on, you can do it. I mean, Simon did it. I can do it. I can, find the strength and the inspiration to do so. And it's also a really fun exercise because sometimes I have decks in bags, for example, really beautiful bags, but I honestly forgot what's inside. Does that make sense? And so going through my entire collection is going to be a really nice exercise because it's going to remind me of possibly decks that I forgot that I have. And I'm going to rekindle my passion for them, hopefully. But in any case, let's stay tuned. Let's have a look. So I'm going to go through all of these ones, and then in the second part of the video, I'm going to show you the decks that I've chosen, and we'll talk about what beautiful means to me. I started this video yesterday going through all of my tarot decks, not oracle decks, not Lenormand, not Keeper, not playing cards, just tarot decks. And this is the first round, and I have an idea on how to move forward. However, there might be a slight problem with the idea that I've got, I thought to myself, okay, why don't I show all of these decks, which is about 20. So after the first round, I selected 20 decks. But the problem is that I thought, okay, I'm just gonna film a video of myself going through these 20 decks and deciding pretty much on air if those that I'm looking at were gonna go ahead to round number 2. And then I thought to myself, I don't think I can actually do that. I don't think I can do it to the decks. I don't think I can do it to myself. And to be honest with you, why would I? If it's 20 decks, I mean, I have a collection, and mind you, this is, I know that I'm saying round 1, but I've been very picky when choosing them, so it's not like I was just putting them on a pile to think about them later. I was actually thinking about them and then putting them on the pile. So this is kind of a round 2 already. And I really don't feel like I would narrow it down even further out of a collection of more or less 600 decks. And yes, it's true that 600 decks is not all of them tarot decks. But let's face it, we're talking at least 50%, if not slightly more. So out of 300 decks, it's unfair for me to come up with only 10. Right? So this is what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna show you all of these decks. And if I feel like I can set them aside for whatever reason, then I will do another round. But if not, then we're just looking at 20 really beautiful decks, which is, you know, I mean, if I were watching a video of someone going through their collection and selecting 20 decks that they feel are the most beautiful ones in that tarot collection, I will be happy. You know, 10, I'm happy with 10, but 20 is 10 more, it's twice as many. So let's start. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one simply because it was the one on top of the piles that I have on my left here. So there's not going to be any kind of order here. Seriously, this is not one from the least most beautiful to the most beautiful. It's literally what comes. So we've got the Bonan Tarot by a Miyako M. This is the second edition. I used to have the first edition. I ironically prefer the second one. There's only slight changes, but the changes that Miyako-san implemented are just absolutely stunning. First of all, I mean, look at the star card. Isn't it just absolutely superb? So she changed the saturation of the colors so they are more saturated, and also in a few cards she's actually zooming out. So there were a lot of close-ups in the first edition. There's a lot of close-ups in the second edition as well, but it feels like she's actually added a few elements or symbols to the cards in order for us, the readers, to enjoy the cards a bit more, but also to notice these symbols and work them in when we're reading the cards, obviously. But honestly, this, look at the sun card. I mean, I'm not always a fan of the sun card, to be honest with you. Naked babies riding on horses, meh. But any kind of variance on that needs to be just as powerful as the concept of the joy expressed by that, right? Mindless joy, not really focusing on what you're doing and yet enjoying it. This is so beautiful, and yet I will have to say there is so much consciousness and awareness in the eyes of this character that it almost defeats of the purpose of the sun, showing you like, yeah, there's no tomorrow, so enjoy today because you never know what will happen. However, it is one of the most beautiful sun cards that I've ever seen. And so this deck, and you guys know me, I love, look at this tattoo. So there is a tattoo convention in Sydney this weekend, and I am so tempted. There's still a couple of tickets left, and I'm so tempted to go, because in forever I have wanted a like a couple of sleeves on my arms, tattoo sleeves on my arms. But I really want to find someone really good. And so the only way that I have is to either check on the website, look at this jacket, either check on their website or check on their Instagram page and get in touch with them. But I just can't find something that I really like fell in love with. So I don't think I'm gonna go. And look at the backs, amazing. So anyway, yes, the Bonan Tarot. Then moving on, this is, I am so sorry. I hope that I'm gonna find the title inside. This is a deck that I bought on Etsy. And this is just absolutely beautiful. However, it does come with this, this is your typical but not necessarily from Make Playing Cards. This is whenever you order a tarot deck from Make Playing Cards and they say, no, we're gonna send you the box, it's just a plain white box. This is what they send you. I'm not saying that the author of this deck printed their cards out of MPC, but this is what you would expect out of them. And maybe they have. And I'm so sorry. Okay, so you know what? I'm just gonna do some research and then I'm gonna put the name of the deck on the video. Okay, so you will probably just see it now because I do have a name in mind. However, I'm not entirely sure and I don't want to butcher it. But look at how frigging beautiful this is. Look at this Four of Pentacles. I just love it so much. And this work and the Six of Wands. All of these cards, I love them so much. They are so beautiful. I think that, look at this Ten of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. I mean, this deck has got a depth to the images and yet it manages to keep them ethereally, is that a word? In an ethereal way, beautiful in an ethereal way. And I absolutely love this. So I think that it's an amazing deck because it still really tells your story. Whenever you're looking at the cards, you really do understand the meaning of the tarot card behind the image. And so it really accomplishes something. I mean, look at the Tower card, you know, it's just fantastic. The agony, but they're closing their eyes. The character on the card is closing their eyes because they understand that this is the moment that they have to go through. And there's a hint of kintsugi here, which is almost like a lightning strike, but you can tell that it's also kintsugi. So I just absolutely love this deck so much. It is by far one of my most beautiful decks. And I mean, look at the fold, look at the joy, see, this is just absolutely superb. And of course, yes, it does have some kind of Eastern vibes in many of these cards, or not just Eastern vibes, I would say. And it's just really, look at the Six of Swords, really absolutely stunning. I really love this deck, and so I will definitely get back to you on the title. My apologies to the creator. I do use it, and you know, your deck made it to the final selection, so but I will let you know what the name is. So really fantastic. And let's put it back in the box. And as I said, I think it's a Solar Kingdom, okay? But please don't hate me if that is not correct. Actually, no, it's not the Solar Kingdom because that's another deck. In any case, it's similar to that, but it's not that, sorry. Moving on to the next one. I'm just picking up out of the pile. This is a deck that I have a story. This is the Lost Forest Tarot number 2. That's a second edition by Chelsea Santa Maria. I love this deck so much because I truly think it is one of my most beautiful decks. This is before the Kickstarter campaign from, I believe, a couple of years ago. So the edition prior to the Kickstarter campaign. It is slightly darker, so I'm really hoping that you will be able to see all of the images. However, it's not a matter of light. It is just, you know, the, let's say, the white balance or the brilliance and the exposure. I'm just naming tricks in Photoshop, but I'm not saying that this has been photoshopped. I'm just saying that, you know, it might be darker because of the settings that the creator has used on these cards. Just for you to know, these ones, they do pair up, and they form a tableau, the minors. So for example, the Ace, the 2 and the 3 of Earth, which I don't see, but in any case, so this is a tableau, and then you can literally put them all together, including the core cards, and you will have a tableau, like a strip, really, really beautiful. Each and every one of these cards will tell a story, but together they tell an even bigger story. And apart from the fact that I absolutely love everything about this deck, I find that incredibly interesting. And I know that Anatolian has done the same in the Tarot of the Abyss when it comes to the Suit of Cups, because they're all characters in the same boat, so you see them on the deck of the boat. I think it's very brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. I also know that James Sarit has done the same with one of these decks. I don't have them, so I don't know which one. I can't remember. But this, I mean, some of these cards are just really superb. I just love the colors. I believe that the latest edition on Kickstarter was probably slightly brighter, so you might even be able to see the images a bit better. This is the Sun card, and because of the, let's say, Eastern vibes to this card, it's just really, really beautiful. I love it. Look at the Devil card, how evocative this card is. And the Temperance card, isn't it just fantastic? I would have used it as a Strength card as well. And the Star card and the Death card, my God. So, and the Hanged one, look at this. So I really love this deck so much. I bought it because I knew that someone here in Australia wanted to trade this deck, so wanted this deck and to trade a deck that back then I don't even remember what it was. So when I saw it for sale in the US, I actually reached out to the seller and bought it. And then I received it without even knowing anything about this deck, just knowing that there was someone that was going to trade for it. So I bought it for the trade, and when I looked at it the first time, I fell in love so hard that I contacted the Australian person and said, I am so sorry, but I will have to keep this deck for myself because I love it too much. It is just so beautiful. And I don't have the 3rd edition, the one out of the Kickstarter campaign. I feel that I fell in love so much with this one. I don't want any other edition. I don't know if that makes sense. So this one is actually called the Solar Kingdom, so apologies for that. This is one of the decks that I believe it has been produced in Eastern Europe or Ukraine. And I have actually bought this deck. It's an indie deck, but I bought it in a shop in Vietnam, which unfortunately, so it was 100% legit. That shop was LT Tarot. Unfortunately, they had to close the shop because, as I was saying last year, when I was talking about them and saying that it was very, they were very brave to be still existing in the market with a brick and mortar shop and selling legit decks in a market that was saturated by counterfeit decks, you know, and I was praising them and applauding them for doing that. However, they did say to me a couple of times that it was very difficult to survive. I don't know why these cards are upside down. I do read reversals, however, I do not shuffle reversals. So there shouldn't be any, but it's okay. Maybe I just drop those cards and then I put them back like that. So as I was saying, they really struggled to stay afloat in a market that was punishing them because obviously they were selling legit decks only, and obviously they had to mark up on the price because they had to survive. They had to pay for rent and, you know, and for people working in the shops and attending customers and everything, and it's not that easy. And so unfortunately they closed. It's a news from a couple of months ago. They're still selling tarot decks online, so you can still get in touch with them, and they have some amazing decks. Really, I found the Patrick Valenza, the Divya Moon Tarot Paradoxical. I found it at their shop, so it's just really fantastic that they have such an amazing collection of both mass market and indie decks. But unfortunately, yeah, they had to close the shop, the brick and mortar shop, because it's just not feasible to pay rent and pay for stuff, you know, when everyone, well, there's a lot of people who prefer to spend $5 on a deck rather than $50, and unfortunately that doesn't help a shop. But this is the Solar Kingdom, and I absolutely love the vibes. Really, really beautiful. I really wanted to, you know, I have a few decks like this. I chose this one because it's my favorite because of the color palette. Really, really love it. Randomly choosing another deck. You guys know that I would have picked this deck, right? The Desert Illumination Tarot. This is the first edition. It's an indie. I do also have the mass market edition, which is inspired, let's say, based on the second edition. I don't have the second edition indie, so I'm pretty happy with my collection. This is one of the decks that I love everything about. It is so beautiful to me. The colors are spectacular. The theme is spectacular. It makes me laugh. There's, you know, a card where there's an abduction of a cow. I mean, come on. And there's aliens, and there's Chile, and there's Jojo O'Keefe. And, you know, and look at the star card, how beautiful this is. This is such an amazing deck. I absolutely love everything about it. It reads really well as well. So it's a really good reader. It's not just the images that I absolutely love. I absolutely love reading with this. And I'm very happy because the mass market edition, I mean, look at the full card. It's a clown. It's so intense and beautiful with the association of the colors. So as I was saying, I read with the mass market edition as well, and that's just as good as the indie edition. And because I'm really scared about damaging the indie edition, I've actually just, I'm only reading from the mass market edition now when I use this deck. Look at the aliens, they're just absolutely so whimsical and funny. And look at this Five of Pentacles. I mean, personally, I have been to, and this is the abduction of the cat, come on, and it's the Judgment card. And I've been to New Mexico and I just absolutely love it. I really loved it. I love Las Cruces, I love Santa Fe, I love White Plain, I love Roswell, especially Roswell. I've been there during the Alien Festival, which is the first weekend of July, at least it used to be. And my husband and I are thinking about going back to do another road trip in the US next year, so I cannot wait to go back there. So that's Illumination Tarot. Oh, just love this deck so much. It's so beautiful. Then moving on to a totally different deck because I have to. This is the Sonia Tarot. It is not the only, is it though? It might be the only photographic deck that I've got in this selection. I love this deck so much, by Nicholas Bruno. I backed the last year's Kickstarter campaign. I cannot wait. I know that there's something finally moving. We've received an update. This is probably one of my most hopeful star card on my entire collection, and you guys know that being an Aquarius, star card is very important to me. This to me is so evocative. It really tells me, hang in there, you might still be here, you must still have to go, but you will. You know, once you summit, you will find what's behind the mountain. You will see that there is hope. You will see the light. You will see the guidance. It's just so, such an infusion of hope, this card. And being a photographer myself, I know how difficult it is. Such an amazing effort that Nicholas Bruno has done in organizing the photo shoot, because let me tell you, this not easy, these photographs. It's also because it was a very particular time of the day where the golden hour is on, that doesn't last for hours, so you have to have everything organized perfectly and everything has to go well, and you don't really control the weather. You know, we don't control the weather, so you have to do your best to just get along and roll with the punches. And I just really love the results. And I cannot wait for, there's an Oracle deck that I backed in a new edition of the Sonia. So and the book, I mean, I spent like $350 for that Kickstarter campaign, but I cannot wait because I love this deck so much. It took me a long time to get on board with the theme behind this deck, because the theme is about the sleep paralysis that you encounter, you know, that sense of suffocating, of being paralyzed, of being, because your mind, so what happens when you wake up, your brain, generally speaking, wakes up a few seconds before your body does. And so your brain doesn't necessarily have, but it's a fraction of a second sometimes, not seconds, sorry, it's a fraction of a second. But the impression is enough for your brain to start thinking about what the hell has happened, that you send the impulses down to your hands or your feet or your legs to move, and they don't. And and that is creating so much anxiety because your brain obviously thinks about all of the really bad things that may have happened. And then your body catches up to your brain and it says, no, I'm here, I'm still here. But that is an incredibly powerful experience. And this deck, oh my God, so beautiful. Really, really love it. And we're just moving on to the Exile Awaken. My God, this deck. And I know that there's a lot of decks produced by the same artist, let's say. But this one is just so amazing. This is the Exile edition. It means that, sorry, it's the Day edition, Awaken edition. It means that it's got faces. So the characters, so there's a Night edition, I believe, or a Sleep edition. And there's an Awaken edition. And the Night edition doesn't have faces. I don't know why I'm keeping this one. It's plastic. I hate plastic. So you can see the faces, and I need faces. If I don't have faces, I mean, mind you, these two characters don't. If I don't have faces, there's some kind of a cognitive disconnection or dissonance that happens, because I need to see a face, because then my brain will go immediately to decide whether this person is expressing anxiety, whatever feelings they have in their face, longing, anger, surprise, fear, calmness. So I really do need faces in my tarot decks. The only tarot deck where I don't have a face and I still really like it is the Earth Woman, I believe it's called. Is it that? Yeah. Yes. The Earth Woman Tarot, which I really, really love. And the only reason why I'm okay with that not having faces is because I pair it with the Feminine Wisdom Oracle by Leanne Droich, because that has faces, and the faces from the Oracle, they kind of overlap in art style, the faces from the Tarot, so I'm okay with that. But this, isn't it just, this gives me so many dream vibes, oniric kind of trance status, that I just really, really love this. I love every single card. It brings me into a completely different realm, and it tells me a story, and I just really love this. I really, really do. The guidebook unfortunately doesn't really go deeply into the details about these cards. I would have loved to know a little bit more about this King of Pentacles, or even these Two of Swords, because this character is missing a hand. So there's a lot going on. And look at the, sorry, but look at this, the Devil card. It's an apple, right? So you do have this idea of the temptation, but at the same time, a slice of the apple is open and it shows that it's got really sharp teeth, and at the same time it's this tongue coming out. Wow. And it's on top of a banquet. As you can see, this is a table, but there's a skeleton. It looks like a human skeleton at the bottom here, and there's chains here, and something is going on fire. And I mean, this is just such an intense card, and I just really love the way it makes me feel. And the same goes for the Eight of Swords, and I always talk about this Eight of Swords as the it feels to me like it's the what's the name, 28 Days Later, the movie set in London with Cillian Murphy, the one from a long time ago, 28 years ago, I guess, maybe not that many. I don't remember when the first one came out. I know that there's a 28 years later, so maybe it was 28 years ago. But in any case, if you watch the movie, this is the way London looks, and it's just crazy. Like, it was so many years ago, and now we have all of these disaster movies. Yes, it's all about disaster and everything, fine. But that was one of the very first ones, or that at least that I watched. And seeing London like that was just really an eye-opener for me, because I really felt the sense of ruin and despair, and the sense of having to go ahead. It was a fantastic 9 of Wands situation, but also an 8 of Swords situation. Love it. Look at the 3 of Swords. Anyway, I'm not going to stop at each and every one of these cards. This is such a beautiful deck. I really love this. The Exile, but as I said, just the Awaken edition, because of the the fact that this one has got faces, and I just really need faces. That's that's just me, that's just personal. Then moving on, the Sonia Tarot. This one has got one of my favorite star cards of all time. I always talk about this star card because it gives me so much hope, and the star card for me is all about hope. But it's not just that, you know, because this one reminds me of Isabel Caña's books. If you or even Silvia Moreno Garcia. Actually, the Vampires of Arnota and Mexican Gothic, so both the authors remind me of this card reminds me of them. It's so beautiful. It's got so many vibes. It's really beautiful. This is I think it's oil on canvas. I could be completely wrong, but I think I'm right. Please forgive me, I'm not very savvy when it comes to artistic media. I just don't really know. But this is the mastering of the media by the creator, Lacey Bryan, because it's just absolutely fantastic. I really love every single one of these cards, and because, you know, when I was thinking to myself, how do I define a deck as beautiful, and how do I define a deck as the most beautiful or one of the most beautiful ones? And for me, it needs to be not just that the images are beautiful. Yeah, of course, I would probably start from that, but it needs to be that it communicates something that I easily relate to tarot. It needs to be, look at this page of swords. I mean, look at it, and it's just really amazing. I love it so much, and the King of Swords and the Queen of Cups, so beautiful, you know, and the Seven of Coins, you know, with the this cheating at the table. So you really have to evaluate your situation, because there might be something going on in the background you're not aware of. Really love the way in which, I'm sorry, but can we talk about this Judgment card? With the image on the mirror, it's just so intense and evocative, and it speaks to me. And I like to think that the Six of Swords takes me to the star card, because probably the last one will be the star card. Okay, this is the star card I was talking about. So I'm imagining this situation to be after a Six of Swords, because you just had to embark upon this journey. You didn't want to, but you had to. You have to go. You have to leave something behind. You have to save yourself. And now it's battle stations. So you have to go. And you want to hope, and you want to really believe that on the other side of the river or the body of water that you're crossing in the Six of Swords, the situation will be better. And the star card tells you that you're still there. You're still sailing. You're still going. You're still crossing. But there is hope, because there is a star here, and you can follow it, and it will take you home. And when a tarot deck tells me something like that, it makes me very emotional, and it makes me think that this is one of the most beautiful tarot decks that I've got. And look at the deck card. Baron Samedi, anyone? So cool. So super duper cool. So anyway, yes, the Sonia Tarot. You know, I kind of hoped that it would come out mass market, because unfortunately the edition that I was able to get didn't come. So I know that this comes with the guidebook, but the person who sold it to me did not have it. And so I don't have the guidebook. So I wish it came out mass market with a big guidebook, because I would love to read about it. So moving on, because I am talking so much, but that's me. Sorry. So the Major Arcana by Leonora Carrington. I struggle so much not to spend $500 on this deck, because this is how much this deck was selling for when it was out of print. And then Folger Press from the UK decided that it was time to reprint this. So I bought it for like £25, I kid you not, from them directly, and then shipping. That was twice as expensive. And now it's out of print again. So I have no idea how much this deck is fetching nowadays when it comes to prices. This came anointed, but I don't know if your edition is behaving the same way. The perfume just went. It just went after 2 weeks. I don't know why. I don't mind. It's fine, but it would have been nice to have it for a bit longer. So surrealist painter. Absolutely amazing. You've probably seen many of these images. She actually was so much into tarot. She was a paintress first, and also, you know, involved in the occult. So I actually went to an expo in Venice. It was the Guggenheim House, I believe, in Venice, and they were hosting a let's say a collection of artwork from Leonard Carrington and a lot of artists, so painters from the same era, beginning of 20th century, and from the beginning to the mid of 20th century, and they were really involved in the occult. So she's the one that actually produced the tarot deck, but many artists actually were interested in the occult, and they were making paintings reflecting that, whether it was witchery or alchemy, so especially alchemy, I would say. This one is just so beautiful. I mean, look at the Star card, of course. Look at the Judgment card. It's a Mages only. I would have loved for Leonora to make a full 78 cards tarot deck, but these are so beautiful, and this deck is so beautiful. So I'm really, really happy that I was able to get it for a reasonable price. Don't despair, because every now and then I feel like Folger Press listens to the public, and so if there's enough demand, they may actually reprint it. Now moving on to I have to zoom out because this is a big one. So this is the Honaza House, and this is the 6th edition, but it's the jumbo edition. When she released the 6th edition, there was like a medium size and a tiny and a jumbo. I am so happy that I've got the jumbo because I love this card so much. This deck is absolutely amazing, and I love to see the cards in a jumbo format, you know. I just, why not? I mean, you have more real estate here, you have more room to see, to display all of the symbols, and you see them better, so why not? This is obviously, this very special edition has got more, let's say, how should I say this, muted greens and purples. Then she went on to the 7th edition where the purple is predominant, I would say. The 8th edition is all about the reds, which I don't have, but I kind of regret. And then I believe there's, that's the previous edition, the 5th edition, which I also have, is all about the greens, and it's a different size and format. And then I also have another edition, which I believe is either the second or the 3rd edition. Look at the work card, really, really gorgeous. And that one was more like beige edition, beige colors. This is the Chariot. I love this so much. So this to me is really, really beautiful. It's obviously because of several cards. It tends to look a little bit peepish when you look at the minors, but I would have to say there is still so much effort in painting this, in creating this, and I just really appreciate it. I mean, look at the 10 of Swords, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And this is the Judgment card. I mean, isn't it just super evocative and also a little bit scary? I would have to say zombie vibes, of course. So really, really love this. I would say the Hermit card is amazing as well. But my favorite is the Emperor card, because whenever I see it, and also, the Wheel of Fortune is really beautiful as well. Where is my Emperor, my favorite Emperor card? There you go. So this is my favorite Emperor cards of all times, and whenever I talk about this deck, which I do quite often lately, because I just love it so much, this reminds me of One Night Willie from the Goonies. If you know, this stillness about being underwater and having been there for a century, that shows you the way in which the Emperor has to deal with the aftermath of having completed his job. It is just super amazing to me. I just love this, and this is definitely one of my most beautiful decks in my collection. So putting it back in the box. By the way, these boxes really sturdy every time. I never had any problems. Sometimes they're very sturdy. So this one is still very sturdy, even though it's from a few years ago. Then moving on to a very recent deck in my collection. This is the Mindscapes Tarot by John A. Rice. This is the mass market edition by Hay House, and this has been sent to me for review a couple of weeks ago by John himself. Or rather John via Hay House. I really love this deck. I really love this deck. I mean, look at the inside of this. This is clearly one of my most beautiful decks because it's so artistic. You know, I posted a video where I was discussing whether tarot art, so the art that we see in the tarot cards, can be seen or thought of as artistic. And I believe that to a certain extent, we can identify many decks. I talk about 10 decks in that video, including decks from also Honaza House, but also, for example, the Sonia Tarot by Nicolas Bruno, or even the creations by Andrea Aste, for example. Those are definitely, to me, definitely artistic decks. There is an effort by the creator, there is an expression, there is a medium that has been used, and I don't want to be as, you know, devoid of creativity as to go into Google and Google the meaning of what artistic is, what artistic means. I don't want to do that. I still feel that whenever something is a creation, a work of art that is communicating something to us and that tells us something, and that's something that it tells us makes us change or want to change at least. That is one of the important things about art and why we appreciate art and why we need art in our lives. Because we need to evolve, we need to we need to have a character arc. You know, it's a term that writers use. Character arc is about starting from here and then moving on to here. And yeah, you will probably go through a lot of issues and problems, and you know, you will give up at least 3-4 times, and then you start again, and then you fall and you pick yourself back up, but in the end, it's the hero's journey. It's literally the hero's journey or the fool's journey throughout the major arcanas. You need the character arc. You need to acquire wisdom. And in order to acquire wisdom, you need to go through something. If art is making me go through something and making me at least want to be a better person, that's artistic to me. And of course, you may not like it. That's the difference. So these are not my most artistic decks. These are my most beautiful decks. Why? Because I can recognize that something can be artistic, but at the same time, I may not like it. These are the ones that I actually like so much. So definitely the Mindscapes Tarot. The original version was with an art book as well, and it was very expensive, so I couldn't afford it. It was $185 here in Australia plus shipping, so I couldn't afford it. But I'm so happy that I've got that one. So the next one is, and I had to go with this one, the Bonan Tarot by Samguai. They confirmed, and it's now, you can find the pre-order, I believe, of their tarot decks, or the Bonan Tarot on I'm saying Amazon because that's where I'm looking for, but I'm guessing you can probably buy from Barnes & Nobles, what have you. And but this is the indie edition, the deluxe edition. This deck is so beautiful. There is so much work. I mean, it's just incredible. It reminds me so much. I would hope that Samguai would make a cover for Taking Fish's books, because Taking Fish's books are just absolutely freaking amazing. I love them so much. And I think that Samguai's art would make for a fantastic cover for Taking Fish's books, because it's all about you know, that horror style, that it's about sometimes it's body horror, sometimes it's folk horror, sometimes it's a retelling of a horror tale from the past. I just love her writing style, and I believe that Samguai, I love their art style, and I think that would combine really well. But this is such an evocative deck. It's very dreamy. This is my, you know, oniric kind of deck. It's a state of trance that you get in. This is my Pan's Labyrinth deck, because I do associate this deck with that movie from Guillermo del Toro. And I just really love the vibes and the colors and the images and everything that there is to it. And I cannot wait to see what they've done with the mass market edition, because you know it might be interesting. And I don't have the big art book that goes with this deck. I wish I did. So maybe there will be a big book that comes with the mass market edition. I have no idea. Then let me just go here. We're slowly chipping at the pile, don't worry. So I had to go with Chiro, well, not Chiro Marchetti's decks, because Chiro is, well, it's Italian first of all, like me. So hi Chiro Tarot. But it's also because I strongly believe that he's been such an amazing and prolific artist in the tarot community that honestly, I honestly really love not all of his decks, but this one for sure. This is this is the Mystic Palette Tarot, but this is the Sepia edition or the Muted Color edition. And the reason why I'm going with this one, and this is by the way the indie edition, not the mass market edition. You can find both this deck and also the full color one in a mass market edition. I prefer the indie edition because of the cardstock, but it's just me. It's not even gilded, sorry, it's fine. I prefer the muted color because it's just, I believe that it gives you more of a leeway in looking at the cards. Let me just explain this because I know that it sounds like something that doesn't really make sense. When you have the color edition, the colors are so bright and brilliant and saturated that it feels like you don't really have much of a wiggle room. You look at the card and you're guided by the card. When you're looking at this edition, to me, you can take your time, you can observe it, you can look at the symbols, you can decide where you want your eye to stop wandering on the card. So to me, that is a better experience, but that is very personal. And as I said at the beginning of this video, beautiful, not beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And you know what? This is not a cliche. I actually believe it. I really strongly believe that that is true. And I know that there's going to be a lot of you saying, the decks you're showing today are terrible. We don't like them. They're ugly. That is your opinion. My opinion is quite the opposite. But guess what? The world is beautiful because we all have different opinions, and if we didn't, it would be quite boring. So it's perfectly okay not to like this deck or the others that I'm showing today, because and I would love to hear from you. Not necessarily if you don't think that this deck or the others are beautiful, because I don't like when there's some negative comment about the decks. I mean, there's always a lot of effort behind the creation of these. But if you have different decks that for you are beautiful and you don't see them here in this video today, by all means, let me know in the comments below. Really gorgeous deck though, I have to say. My goodness, so beautiful. And by the way, I do have the bigger book, but I have it for the colored edition because I believe it's actually the same writing, so it doesn't really change much, which is strange because I would read the color edition and the muted tones edition in a different way. Moving on. Okay. Please don't clutch your pearls because I know that there's going to be a lot of people saying this is not a beautiful deck. This to me is stunning. It's The Murder Occurs by Corrado Roy. I've said so many times in my channel, probably once a month, if not more, that I love Corrado Roy because Corrado Roy is an Italian illustrator and it was one of the original illustrators of Dylan Dog. One of my favorite graphic novels of all times. When I was in high school, when I was, they started publishing, I believe, in 1987. I was too little, and it's also because it was really horror, gore, and kind of scary. It was really scary. So I believe I believe it's you cannot buy if you're not 14 of age. I'm not entirely sure. But in any case, I used to read it all the time. It was actually scaring me a lot. And I recognize so much of Corrado Roy's distinctive line work and, the expression on these faces. I just really love it so much. It also reminds me of the video game that I played like many years ago, and I can't remember the title, but it was all like this. It literally looked like this. Quite famous it was back then. I would have to say that this is one of my most beautiful decks. And yes, I know, It is muted color palette, not necessarily black and white. I mean, it might look like it's black and white, but there's a lot of different kind of shades. And this is not chalk white, so I wouldn't actually know how to call it. And yes, it is very dark, and yes, it might look even creepy. Let me tell you, the special edition, deluxe edition that came out of this deck had splashes of red that looked like blood spatter patterns. I should remember this. I'm rewatching Dexter. I should remember what they're called. Blood spatter pattern. Yes. So I used to have it, and then I got this one, and I thought, oh, I don't want it, because I bought it when it was a normal price, right? $60, the special edition. And then I rehomed it because I had this one, and I was like, I'm a bit meh when it comes to blood. Now I regret it so much having rehomed the special edition, because now it sells for like $300, and I'm like, I'm not gonna rebuy it for $300. I really want to kick myself, but so be it. I am learning. So in any case, this one, yes, it is. It's beautiful to me. This is a beautiful deck to me. I just love it so much. And my goodness. And I know this artist, so you know, I know his style. To me, it is one of the most beautiful ones, because it takes me home. It takes me to a place of a Six of Cups when I was, 16, and I was going to school, and I had two of my best friends at school with me, because after so many years, we're still best friends with two of them. And if I'm lucky, I'm going to see at least one of them in November, because unfortunately they live in Europe. But you know, I was going to school with them, and we were reading Dylan Dog during the recess. And then, you know, and then we were going back to class, and we were like talking about the number of the Dylan Dog that we were reading. And so Corrado Roy's, ever since I started paying attention to artistic flair in these work of art, I started recognizing him. And so anything that he does, I would love, because yeah, I really love. And I also have the Yokai Tarot. I could not decide whether I wanted to show you the Murder Crows of the Yokai. I think that the Yokai has a very philosophical approach, whereas this one is more thematic. But this one is just as beautiful, and the Yokai is just freaking amazing. But this is the one that I've chosen to show you. So I know. Why would I have chosen this one, right? It's black and white. It's scary. It's Spooktober kind of deck. I just love it so much. And then moving on to something that I also love to use during the Spooktober month of Halloween, which is the Yokai Tarot by Google Plague. You know, with all the freakishly amazing indie deck that are now being picked up mass market, why don't they pick this one up mass market? Google Plague, please get picked up mass market so everyone can enjoy this deck. This is about yokai, right? So, you guys know how much I love Japan, how much I love the Japanese culture. I am fixated, I am obsessed by the Japanese culture, and part of the Japanese culture, especially this year, because I just came back from 5 weeks spent in Japan, and I can assure you 1000% yokais are all the rave right now. They're super popular in everything. So this one is a deck that looks at 78 yokai cards, so 78 yokais. I will have to say, I posted so many videos about this deck. I've done a deck study with this deck with my members. I believe it was the first deck that we looked at together. I've organized a Yakumonogatari Kaidankai Desu night, so everyone was writing a scary story, because the what you do with the yokai in the tradition in Japan is when you have a bunch of kids to entertain, you just organize the night of 1,000 candles, or is it 100? I remember, sorry. No, 100. And so you tell a scary story around the fire, and the light that you have thanks to these 100 candles that are lit up, and then for each and every story you extinguish one candle. And at the end, if you do it correctly, look at this Queen of Cups, I mean, come on. At the end, if you're doing this correctly, you're supposed to take the winner, the last person with the last candle around the corner that has an L shape, and there's a mirror behind the corner. And so the effect is very scary because you don't know that, and you're approaching yourself and it looks like you're approaching someone, and then you extinguish the candle and you're like, it's complete darkness. What's in front of me? I'm really, really scared. So it is something that is incredibly powerful, incredibly beautiful, part of this amazing culture that is the Japanese culture. And I will have to say that when you do study yokai, like I've done for a long time, there's a lot that comes from the Chinese and also the Indian culture. There's a lot of spirits, you know, supernatural beings that are integrated into Japanese culture, but they come from far away. So Kuniyoshi has made a this is the Knight of Swords, and Kuniyoshi has made a ukiyo-e, so a wood block print of this yokai in specific, and I have a hoodie with this image by Kuniyoshi embroidered in the back. It cost me like an arm and a leg, but it's so gorgeous. I love this deck so much. This is one of my most beautiful decks. I will never own this, not even if someone offered $5,000. I don't care. It's just, I love this deck so much. And as I said, I really wish it were picked up mass market. And I know that the value will go down, but I don't care. I don't keep it for the value. I keep it because I love it. And I want everyone else to love it as well. So let's move on to something that I think that there's going to be another clutching of pearls. So be it. This is Tarocchi Jelly. Hear me out. By chainsembly.com. This is Nick Rivera is behind the company that released this deck. It was a Kickstarter campaign from a couple of years ago. And right away, tarot deck inspired by Italian horror cinema. I'm Italian. Not just that, I love horror cinema. Not just that. Well, this was inspired by movies by Mario Bava and Dario Argento, who's the father of Asia Argento, if you know who she is. So there's something to be said about Mario Bava. I wasn't even born when his movies came out, and also to a certain extent Dario Argento's movies from the 70s. Was born in the middle of the 70s. I certainly could not go to the movies, especially a horror movie, when I was 1 year old, or but there has been a lot of revival of horror movies from the 60s and 70s in Italy in the 90s. And so I was able to actually watch these movies, not to talk about the fact that one of Dario Argento's most famous movies, because it starred Jennifer Connelly and she was really young when she was starring in this. It's called Phenomena. If you're Italian, you will know that movie was so cool. I loved it so much. Let me just open the tarot deck and show you the cards in the meantime, because otherwise I'm just gonna be here talking about Phenomena and Dario Argento's movies for hours. So this one is inspired. These are not actual posters from those movies, but the cards are inspired by that. Okay, so they really look like those posters back then. And and look at this. This skeleton is on the back of this box. So there's a couple of things to say as well. Well, this is Venice, so it got my seal of approval. You have Venice, of course, with the Lion of San Marco, even though you can't really see it, but it is the tower. So I was saying, okay, I was going through the, there's an appendix at the end of the guidebook that tells you what the inspiration was for, these cards. And part of the inspiration is a couple of books which are focusing on the terrorist attacks in Italy from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. I have a very personal experience of that. So I've told this before. I was I don't know, 1 month old. I was not conscious, not aware of anything in life. I was just barely surviving. But I was living in Padova. Padova is close to Venice. 20 kilometers from Venice. It was the epicenter of a certain type of terrorism. Yeah. Obviously, I wasn't going to uni back then, but our university and the University of Venice were very political. And in any case, so I was probably 1 month old. There was a manifestation outside. There were many manifestations outside back then. At a certain point, there were someone was started shooting, and after, and this one was my mom that told me, and also this friend of mine. So after like an hour or so, or even less, my mom hears someone knocking at the door, and she goes to the door and she sees one of our neighbors, and she had her own baby, my age, holding him, you know, clutching into her chest, and she was really, really scared. And she was like, "Can I stay here for a while?" And my mom was like, "Yeah, of course." And then afterwards, my dad and my friend's dad went back, and they went to the room where my friend was sleeping in his cot. And just 1 meter away, 1 meter, 60 centimeters away from the cot, there was the clear sign that a bullet had come in from the window. The window was broken. There was like a dent on the wall, and the bullet has lodged on the wall. So 1 meter, and you know, it's just so crazy because he could have died. He could have been hit. And it is just those years where we call them the lead years, lead as in the metal, lead, because it's the metal that you use in bullets. We call them like that because there were so many deaths, so many terrorist attacks in Italy. I don't know if you know history. If you're Italian, you would know. Not that you may have been. I was alive for the 80s attacks and and as I said, this one as well, but I wouldn't remember them. But you would study them in history because obviously there's been so much talk about them, and kidnappings and red brigades and the black brigades, and Italy was going through a very tough time. And I just feel like I can see that through this. And maybe those horror movies were the form of escapism that was also based in reality that came out in those 2 decades because of these terror attacks. And I really do believe that you can actually feel it here. And so yes, this is a deck that always makes me very emotional. This friend of mine is fine now, he's working for the TV in Italy. But we have this in common. We have this experience in common. And obviously we don't remember it, but you know, it's kind of something that really, it shapes your life in a way. So because of the emotions that this deck transmits to me and the way in which it has been set up, it is one of the my most beautiful decks. And I hope that I've explained myself. It wasn't easy, because honestly remembering that or even thinking about that, yeah, it's kind of tough. But anyway, so moving on, because oh my goodness, sorry, but we only have 4 decks left, so bear with me. And they're beautiful decks, so you want to see them. This is the Ephemeral Tarot by Odonovan. This is, I've got the True Black Tarot. This is the ephemeral version of the True Black. This is literally one of my most beautiful decks. It is just so crazy beautiful. Honestly, it is. I hope that it doesn't really show up well on camera. There's a lot of gold foil, especially on the major arcanas. Let's see if I can find the major arcana. This is the counterpoint. I don't know if I can. I probably, if I do this with a card, you will probably be able to see that. The gold foil, and on the backs as well. Look at that, how beautiful that is. So, let me just spend a couple of words about this deck. Well, first of all, the star card, amazing. But you guys know it already. Every time there is a good star card, I make it a point to mention it. Because to me, the star card is important, okay? It's important to me. If it's a meh kind of star card, then I'm probably not necessarily too interested in the deck. When it's an amazing card, especially when it gives me an additional layer of interpretation to that very same card, then, you know, it makes sense that it's a beautiful one. And it also makes sense to me to spend more time with it because I really love it. every now and then I'm just going to do it like that, and I'm going to show you the gold foil. So let me just spend a couple of words, and that's the star card. It's called Defiance. I mean, hello, Defiance. Do you see this? So this is a figure that is stretching out with a lot of effort, okay? A lot of effort. And the gold foil here, it looks like it's a labyrinth, and it could also be seen as such, but it's meant to be the cupola, the ceiling of a building, and it's so the movement of this person with a mallet or a hammer that they're carrying is to signify that there is this effort to go beyond and shatter a glass ceiling. And I just love this for the star card, because it is slightly off the way which I would normally interpret the star card, but I love it when I am confronted with a different idea and I like it. You know, it's amazing. I love this. So Defiance, amazing. Something that I wanted to say is that yes, these are Vogue magazine beautiful bodies, perfect bodies. I wouldn't call them perfect. To me, perfection is humanity. But these are archetypes. So I'm not upset that they look like this. I'm okay that they look like this. They look ethereal, and so for me, that's okay. I would have wanted, when I see diversity, I see humanity. I don't want to see humanity in this deck. And I don't know if I'm making sense at all. I hope I am. But I don't want to see humanity in a deck that is called the Sonia Tarot. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but this is just one of my most beautiful decks. And by the way, really gorgeous cardstock as well, absolutely amazing. I love it. And the true black is really beautiful, but I wanted to show you this because of the star card. And I don't even have room to put them on the side anymore, so moving on, it had to be one of Meneghello's decks. Maestro Osvaldo Menegazzi had to be represented in this video. This is the Yokai Tarot. It's majors only. Yeah, I know. But it's handmade, it's hand painted. You know, it's limited, 230 out of 250. I don't even know whether they still have some. Maybe they even reprinted it, because I don't think that it would be very smart not to. But this is just, I mean, first of all, I love Japan. You guys know that. I love ukiyo-e, the wood block printing. You guys know that. I love everything related to this deck. No, I don't use it. It's a collectible item. It's absolutely fine. I don't mind. I don't even stop for a second thinking what the meaning of the cards would be as related to the images on the card. I just admire the cards. But today we're not talking about my most scarily accurate decks. We're talking about my most beautiful decks, and this is one of them. 100% one of them. And look at this word card, it's just so gorgeous. So I had to show you one deck from Ian Meneghello. I have a few, and they're all really beautiful, but I believe this is the most beautiful one, and I really don't know where to put them anymore. So down to two, what I want to do is this one first. This one, which is coming out in, I believe, September, October, if you're in Australia. No, sorry, I'm zooming back out. The Bornstone and Earth Flash Tarot by Avalon Cameron, by illustration by Anatorian, one of my favorite illustrators of tarot decks of all time. Yes, it is coming out. It's being published by Blue Angels, which is Australian, so I'm expecting it to be released in Australia before the rest of the world, because that's what they do. But to be honest with you, I haven't seen a release date yet. Okay, so let me put it this way. At the time of filming, I don't have a release date yet in Australia. I know that in the US it's going to release in January. I'm hoping that October, November, no idea. You will see. If they do release it, you will see it. You will see my channel. Wait for it. So there's a few changes that have been done. I am a really top fan. I'm actually a top fan of Anatorian's page on Facebook. And she did show a couple of images that are going to be different. And also, I believe one of the major changes is going to be about the book, because this is a chunky monkey. Okay, you can see that it's a chunky monkey. Unfortunately, it won't be as big. the mass market edition, but you never know. When it comes to cardstock, Blue Angel lately, they have upped the ante. The cardstock is phenomenal, really love it. I'm wanting to buy the Batley Tarot, which has just been released, just because I want to check out the cardstock, and also the tarot deck, let's face it. But this is the indie edition, so I cannot tell you what the new edition will be, the mass market one. But, you know, if you love the Bone, Stone and Earth Flesh and it was too expensive, because that for me was like, I put it together, I don't know, 2 months worth of saving money in order to pay for this deck, to buy this deck. So I understand that, and it's because I really wanted this deck. I really did. So I understand if you're not so much into Naturia's work, you might not have wanted to spend $400, $500, $600 on the deck, which is perfectly fine. But you will be able to buy it as a mass market edition. It will be different. I don't know how different. This is Gandalf, by the way, 100%. I don't know how different, but it will be different. There are a few examples of cards. Obviously, I believe one of the most famous ones that she's changed is the full card, for example. In any case, this is the indie. I don't have the mass market yet, but as soon as I'll have it, if you want, I can do a side-by-side comparison just to show you. This looks like Benebel Wen, by the way. Love this card. Anatorian, oh my goodness, where do I start? I mean, I love her artwork so much. Some of these cards in this deck, I have, so the full card will be slightly different. I don't remember now. When I look at all of the decks, because I've got almost all of them, I don't have the Claire de Lune Lenormand, which I believe now it's unfortunately out of print, otherwise I would have got it. And I don't have the Hidden Waters, because it's based on Rorschach drawings or images, but that would have been so interesting. It's just that I remember checking it out and thinking, I'm not going to spend $250 on a deck. So it was very expensive, either to ship it over or to buy it outright. I don't know. Look at the Nine of Swords. This reminds me of the Never-Ending Story, you know, the wolf that was chasing Atreyu. So there's so much. There is so much that this is my favorite Ace of Wands of all times, and I know that it's not necessarily the way in which I would picture an Ace of Wands, but it's so freaking beautiful. I love this deck so much. It's just everything that I love. All the colors are just my favorite colors. The saturation, the use of the watercolors, the images themselves, they communicate so much. It is very evocative. It's unbelievably beautiful. And I know that if you did back the Kickstarter, which was the first time in which this deck was released into the world, you probably had a really bad experience. I know that there's a lot of you that admitted that they don't resonate with this deck because of the bad experience. I mean, I know that it took forever. But look at this devil. Look at this devil. I mean, isn't it just absolutely deliciously gorgeous and full of anxiety as well? So I know that there was a lot of animosity around this deck. I didn't go through that because I didn't back a Kickstarter campaign. So for me, it wasn't, so maybe that's the reason why for me, I can look at this deck and I can love it as much as I do without feeling bad, not bad, but like I'm not 100% positive about it. Maybe that's the reason, but I just still love it so much. And last but not least, I had to include a classic, and this is by far one of my most valuable decks of all times. Ironically, when I bought it, it wasn't a present, because it was a present from one of my back then boyfriends. And I believe that he only spent something like 180 euros back then, but this now sells for $1,500, if not more. It's the Grand Tarot Berlin. I should wear gloves. I'm so sorry. There's going to be people thinking, excuse me, with your bare hands, you're a man, holding this deck and handling this deck. I know I should wear gloves. My apologies. But then again, it's not pristine. I know that, and it is not pristine, and it's not, I'm not looking into selling it. So that's it. This is a so it's a Grand Tarot Berlin. It's on a category of its own, but I would say very much Marseille. It is absolutely gorgeous, stunning. I generally speaking, I'm not a fan of Marseille decks, but I can appreciate when they're beautiful. And this one is so incredible. It's also because of the way in which it's been done, you know, back then. Was it from 1984? I believe it was 1984, I'm not entirely sure. And it was gilded, which wasn't something that was done as often as you see them now. Nowadays, every other deck is has got gold gilding. And, you know, with all of the references as well, there's a lot that makes this deck so rich. This is a very rich deck, not in wealth, but in how amazing this is. And so, and okay, can I just say something? It's not that easy for a Marseille deck to convey an expression to the faces of the characters. Look at this. Isn't it just amazing with these eyes? And that's one of the reasons why I love this deck so much. Look. I don't know what else to say. It is very priced and valued in my collection. It's never gonna go anywhere else. It's gonna stay with me forever and ever. And so the Grand Tarot Berlin was the last deck that I wanted to show you today. These are my most beautiful decks. During the video, I've explained what I believe to be a criteria, you know, to the most important criteria for me to decide whether a deck is my most beautiful or not. And I could be wrong, but these are the decks that really make me feel something. And as always, please let me know in your comments below what the most beautiful decks in your collections are, because I'm always curious. And, you know, even because I'm a collector, so obviously I will want to know about other decks. So I'm always curious. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you maybe in a couple of days. Bye!